Well, here we are. Bill Prusinowski, author of the Babe Risko Story. How's it going today?
Cold, but we're in Syracuse right now, so this is to be expected. Otherwise, things are,
Syracuse in the month of March, yeah?
well, yeah, in our calendars, it's still wintertime.
Gotcha.
In everybody's calendars, it is.
Well, it looks like you've got a lot of Babe Risko memorabilia behind you.
Yeah, that's part of our campaign to publicize the little things about my uncle.
Well, part of the campaign is the t-shirts. If you guys want to pick up one of these t-shirts with the book cover, we've got them here. This was a gift of the author, Bill Prusinowski, so thank you very much.
It was a gift. You don't owe me anything.
This author, Bill Prusinowski, also happens to be my dad. Hello, Dad. How's it going today?
Great, son.
All right. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions to you about the book. So first of all, I guess what inspired you to write the book?
Well, what inspired me to write the book didn't occur quite first. I had been aware of my uncle's status as a world middleweight boxing champion for a long time. He passed away a long time ago, and I could sense that whenever I would think about Uncle Babe, that memories of him are fading farther and farther in the back. To even the local people around here in Syracuse that knew him. And I discovered we have something called the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. They've been going since 1987, I think. And I said, well, I got to see my uncle's name listed in here. And I went through it, I flipped through it, and there was no mention of him. And when I started doing some research, I found a lot of research. So it was a very legitimate thing that he was the world middleweight boxing championship holder. He was born here in Syracuse. He was raised in Syracuse. He brought the boxing title home to Syracuse, and he passed away in Syracuse. Now he lies at rest in Assumption Cemetery. Well, having said all that, he's the only one that has all those credentials. Nobody else from Syracuse has ever won a world boxing championship.
Well, can you tell me about the book?
Well, the book just is basically the title being the Babe Risko Story. Mostly covers my uncle's fighting years, 1930, but say 1929 to about 1940. He had 103 fights during that time, so it was really his way of putting bread on the family table. And he was, I think, had a fascinating career, tied in with a lot of wins, a lot of losses, a lot of intercedence with the mob who controlled boxing back then. And when I started to research it again, I found that more and more intriguing. My uncle Vince was my Uncle Babe's brother. And he had a very colorful life himself once he got out of the boxing business. He wasn't into the boxing business. He was the assistant manager to my Uncle Babe. And there's just a lot of really surprising, some humorous, some not, when you start to read the book.
Well, what did you learn when writing the book?
Well, I learned a lot about the 1930s. And America was climbing out of the Depression back then. World War II hadn't kicked in yet. And it was a wild society, really. I always refer to the 1930s as the years to recover from the 1920s hangover, because 1920s was even a little bit crazier, I think, in my estimation.
What part of the book was the most fun to write?
The whole book is fun. I think I enjoyed flashing back, which I do quite a bit, to my childhood years, and in the same house that Uncle Babe and Uncle Vince and our other siblings that were born in. And I again, memories just kept popping into my mind. I think I have a good recall of a lot of things in the past. Some people just say, I don't remember anything back then. That maybe nothing occurred to their families back then, but we certainly had a lot of excitement on ours.
Sounds like it. What part of the book did you have the hardest time writing?
Well, aside from writer's block, once in a while you just can't think of anything to do with the book. The toughest part was the technology dealing with the publisher, particularly the photographs and charts and images that I thought naively I could just stick in there to spice up the book a little bit, make it a little more interesting. I found out that it cost me an arm and a leg to get all the photos that I wanted in, and so we had to do a lot of editing there, and that was no fun at all. We needed technical help on that.
You mentioned a couple things there. What does writer's block mean to you?
Writer's block is there's two phases, there's two kinds of it as far as I can see. One is when you just stayed up too late at night, maybe had too much to drink, and you just are frustrated because you can't think of the way to end the last line or sentence that you just wrote. And usually what cures that is waking up in the next morning and picking it up again. The second kind of writer's block is a real, I guess, psychological thing for some writers. They just lose the ability to create anymore. And I've never suffered that end of it. I haven't been enough. So.
What's your favorite and least favorite part of publishing? You already mentioned one, but is there a favorite part of the publishing process for you?
No.
All right, well, next one then. If you're planning a sequel, can you share any of your plans for it?
Yeah, you had to ask me 2 no questions in a row.
Well, if you think of an answer, you can come back to them, but I'll ask you something else. What is a significant way that your book changed since the first draft?
Well, you can change it as much as you want. You second guess yourself a lot of times. You write something that sounds pretty good at one moment. The next time you read it, you say, yeah, this sounds like poor writing skills right here. This doesn't make any sense, whatever. So there's ups and downs. It basically has to do with, I think, your own temperament and what you can accomplish when you're in your good moods and willing to be creative as opposed to when you're maybe in not so good moods.
All right. Well, what perspectives or beliefs have you challenged with this work?
That, well, there's a lot of little things. I can't think of anything earth-shattering, but I mentioned dealings with the mob. That's always a lot of fun. Some of it is fabricated, but the book is listed as fictional or fact-based fiction, and that means that you look at certain things in life that have happened, events, experiences, and you build a story around them. Like you're at Niagara Falls with somebody and you've never been to Niagara Falls with that person before. But Niagara Falls is there, so you're describing the cascade of water. And I think I'm getting a little bit off the question. So.
No, I don't think so. And actually, there's a lot of shows nowadays. Just a couple examples. One called Inventing Anna. It's on a bunch of streaming services, and it's about this con artist, young socialite in the 2020s. And the prelude to every single episode says, this story is entirely true, except for all the parts that are totally made up. And there are others like that. There's
it's similar to the prologue of my book, but
it seems a lot like that. So I don't think you should have any, reservations about, I guess embellishing a bit. Would you say it again?
Well, just say, it's like that in most of the productions. You take any given movie, let's say Gone with the Wind. Mm-hmm. Is that exact dialogue that some guy had with his girlfriend or his wife to be, and who wrote it down and who translated it as such? That's completely a fictional story that occurs within the broader prospects of civil war. So, I mean, there's a lot of made up stuff in books because you just don't, everything isn't done like an interview form. Like we can do this today. I suppose anything we go over today will stick with me forever.
Sure. Well, the nonfiction story, the Babe Risko story, the nonfiction story with a couple of made up parts is available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and Outskirts Press. Is that the publisher? Am I correct?
Outskirts Press. I did my first book with them, and we off now. Yours just
Billy, can you hear Dad?
You've got to turn on the video again. I think you clicked off for video.
Gotta hang up this. Okay.
It's all good. No worries. Perfect. So I guess I'll ask that last question again. So Outskirts Press, that's your publisher, correct?
Yes, my first time publishing, and I think we had a pretty good. They did a pretty good job for me. But one has to consider when you're writing a book, I guess you have to have a little bit of finance behind you. So in my case, it was personal. We're still working on promoting the book, and I think it's worthwhile for people, especially in this area. But I think it has a pretty good general appeal. I mean, after all, my uncle Babe Risko was the world champ.
Great person to write about, great author. Thank you so much, Bill Prusinowski.
You're very welcome, son.
All right.